Hallo und herzlich willkommen im Podcast von Trending Topics. Dass Startups, Unternehmerinnen und Gründerinnen eine stabile Bank als Partner brauchen, ist im Jahr 2023 so klar geworden wie selten zuvor. Logisch dabei ist, dass der wichtigste Touchpoint zwischen Tech-Firmen und der Bank digital ist. Nach dem Erfolg von George bei Retail-Kunden hat die Erste Bank das Online-Banking nun für Businesses adaptiert. Was kann George Business im Detail und wodurch unterscheidet es sich von der Version für Endkonsumentinnen? To speak about that, I now switch to English and I want to welcome to the podcast Maurizio Poletto, the Chief Platform Officer at Erste Group. Hi, Maurizio.
Hi, Jakob. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Warm welcome. Basically, what was your vision for developing and introducing the digital corporate banking? Aren't there already enough on the market, to be frank?
There are too many things in the market. We want to build the one that people prefer to use, and we believe our corporate clients, our business clients are digital, many of them are already digital, and they need a fantastic digital platform to manage their finances. That's what we are concentrated on, that's our mission, and that's what we're going to deliver in Austria now and across the group in the next years. We are the bank for the region, and I don't see any reason why we need to have different applications in different countries. So we want to build the best banking digital platform for the region and for our customer base in the region.
What would you say, which characteristics does digital corporate banking have to have in comparison to the version for the end consumer?
I experienced myself the development of a group platform on the retail side. Over the last 7 years, we built George for retail. We started in Austria in 2015. We rolled it out across the group. And by looking at the corporate challenges, I have to say that there are very, very different challenges. While the retail digital banking is about convenience and very simple automation, there we try to simplify banking, and we have a customer base that actually are rather trying to look for efficiency in managing their banking. They don't do this in a professional way. But when we look at the corporate segment, we see a customer base that really use digital banking as part of their daily job. We are talking about people coming into the office in the morning, opening their computer, logging in and doing their banking business as a part of their job. Therefore, the type of user we are interfacing with are different than retail, right? With retail user, we try really to concentrate and focus on the most efficient way to manage your finances with confidence, making everything very fast. On corporate, we have to rather concentrate on usability, understanding workflows. You know, banking for corporate has a lot to do with workflow, payrolls, invoices, receivable, outstanding money, liquidity management. And all these things are very important for the people who use the platform. And so we really concentrate on those capability and those aspects of to build a proper platform.
So I understand you're building software for power users.
Correct.
What was your main priority when you started to develop?
It's very interesting you said power user. It's a very good point. In retail, normally you have a minority of your customer that they are power user. The majority are casual. You know, they do what they need to do, and if they have 5 minutes time, they actually prefer to open Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, right?
Right.
On corporate, we are talking about power user, and they have certain demands. Absolutely, it's a very good definition.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was your question on this?
And then, what was your main priority when you started to develop George Business?
Understand them. We wanted to understand what our customer are used to, and what are their pain points, where we can improve the experience they have, and how can we deliver an excellent service to make their life easier. At the end of the day, it's not about what we want, it's about what they want. And our job is to make their life easier. And so it was, for the beginning, it was just understand. The complexity here is that there are many type of company out there. There are the micros, very small company, few employees and a founder, up to SMEs that have hundreds of employees, and up to bigger company, right? Now, we decide to concentrate very much on the SME segment. However, I believe that we are doing such a good job that if a large corporate or corporate with a more complex structure want to work with us, I think we have a very decent and very good platform. So for whichever company they want to rely on a third-party software or a bank software to manage their financials. For larger company that they tend to build their own system, fully customized, we will in the future provide pure data and pure APIs, and so they can do this themselves with their own platform. That's a bit the strategy.
If you look at the feature list between George for Retail and George Business, what would you say? What are the main differences?
The whole sections about payment and different type of payment is much more complicated on George Corporate. So on retail, basically 90% of transactions are domestic SEPA transaction, paying bills. On corporate, it's much more complicated. You have more tax payment, you have salary payment in there. So we are talking about larger amount of payment. Normally, there is a strong integration with ERP system, so external system that generates the payment schedule, and then you have to import existing payment schedule into George. So the interrelation between the digital platform George and third-party software like different ERP system is crucial for the success of this product and for the workflow of many of our business customers.
George Business is now available for a few hundred companies.
We are getting closer to 1,000.
Okay, almost 1,000 companies. Do you see any trend? Is there like a killer feature everybody loves?
We started in, I think, November last year, very silent with the first, your right handful of customers. I think we started with 50, then we quickly went to 100, and then we were growing steadily. And in this period, we were asking our customer to give us feedback. For them, familiarity with the system is very important. Obviously, many of them are also retail customers, so they like the fact that the language and the interface and the design is very familiar with George Retail, even though we particularly changed the layout of George Retail to make it more suitable for users that basically tend to use laptop or computers. While in George Retail, we are very much focused on mobile phones. On corporate, you need to balance the desktop solution, which is very important, and the mobile phone solution. The feedback we got back is simplicity, smart design, very understandable, the right language, very similar with the same principle and same attitude and positive attitude we got on George Retail. It sounds banal and simple, but if you look at what many banks around are doing or financial institutions around are doing is probably language is not the right language, design is not right done. And so I think if we concentrate on this, understanding finances is a very good step to have a good relationship on business banking in the future.
Okay, that sounds like that information design is core.
Absolutely, you're completely right. Information design is core. Of course, functionality are very important, but I think understanding and empowering customer to be able to properly manage their finances include awareness. And I think our job is to make sure that our customer and our user, of course, are managing banking in a highly aware way.
So taking a consumer product to the business space, I think is quite a tricky task. How did you approach this task?
It's about putting the customer first and try to understand what they need. We had to change the interface and try to being able to be fast and performative from the technology point of view. Also, we had to change part of our architecture in order to be able to cover those business needs. And by the way, those improvements we have done will also benefit the retail customer because now we have a much more resilient architecture to handle large amount of data and large amount of transactions. Beside that, we also try to shape the layout that make it easier for use to our customer. So we basically try to stretch the real estate we're using on the screen to make sure that we're using the space we have on your device the best way possible. And then customization come in place. There is no one type of business. There are several hundred type of business out there, each of them with their own particularity and their own style. And I think with George Business, we're really going to concentrate on making sure that they can customize as much as possible, they can personalize as much as possible how this layout will look like.
Okay, interesting. I guess you will get a lot of feedback by your customers. How do you structure this process? Because I guess you will get hundreds, maybe thousands of recommendations.
Well, look, there are several types of feedback. There is the perception feedback. So what we got is very similar to the feedback we got on retail. Friendly, nice, understandable, easy to use, fast. So I think there we've done a good job. Then we have a couple of perception features that we implicitly ignore, like it's too colorful, it's too friendly. And normally, we take it serious, but at the end we say, well, we are defining here a brand which is friendly, colorful. We believe banking is colorful, is joyful. And then, of course, there is all the feedback about functionality and feature, which we are taking extremely serious, because at the end of the day, we need to adapt with the business flow of our customer rather than going to them and say, look, we build one way and you need to adapt to us. This will not work out. So we take those feature, I would say these are rather workflow adaptation requests, and I think we take those very serious, and we are working very hard to make our customer satisfied with what we deliver.
Mm-hmm. How do you plan to move the existing customers from the old banking system to George Business? Will there be like a transition period? Will everybody move to George Business at the end?
We are in the middle of transition period right now, and I think we try to be ready until the end of the year. So we give any company time to adapt, to learn a new platform. Also, we would try to not make too many difference from the old system to the new system. And I think from next year on, we will run one platform.
What do you see by now? Who are the typical clients for George Business?
We are talking about basically SME, medium, small, some large SMEs. The platform comes very interesting where you have a structure in the company with user management, with different people who need to see different part of the application. So you can distribute rights and manage individually in a very personalized way the rights for every of the user. So we are talking, if you're a single person company, probably you will end up using George for retail. You don't need much more for that. But if you're a company with a bit of structure, with a team, and a team needs to manage the finances, I think that's where George Business comes in place.
So anybody who is hooked now, who really wants to use it now, how can I become a George Business user?
You just go online on the website of the bank, and you can actually get right away in real time not only access to George, but you get right away an account, an IBAN. I think we are one of the first bank in Austria, if not the first, to really deliver digital onboarding. You click the button, become a customer, you start the process, you provide all those information which are necessary, and after 10-15 minutes, you get in real time deliver a working IBAN, access to George, you can open George, you can start transferring money. I think we have worked very hard the last 2 years to get this digital onboarding done right, and actually I have to say it works very well. There is no need to visit the branch, there is no need to call someone. You just do it by yourself from your office right away, and it's instant.
When Erste Bank launched George several years ago, it was a real revolution in Austria, I think. Do you expect the same for George Business?
Someone told me it was a provocation in Austria. And I like that term, actually. When we launched George Retail in Austria in the beginning of 2015, someone told me it felt like a provocation because we have been the first large bank that put digital simplicity, digital attitude, digital platform on TV. We made it big, right? Now, 7 years has passed and at that time, I think digital is much more obvious and much more expectable as a part of a service of a large bank like what we are in Austria. However, I think a lot of digital banking focus in the last years has been done on the area of retail. And I think in corporates, I think there is a lot to be done. And therefore, I'm not quite sure if it's going to be the same provocation. Also because our reputation in the digital space is quite high. There is high expectation, let me put it that way. As we have done such a good job on retail, they're expecting we're doing a fantastic job on corporate.
Last question. Give us a glimpse to the future. Where do you see George Business in 3 to 5 years?
Well, in 3 to 5 years, I see George Business as one platform across the region, not only Austria. So we are already now working on developing the next countries. We are looking now in Romania and Czech Republic. So in 3 to 5 years, I see George Business across Erste Group as a standard. I see very much an application that really can take care about all the daily needs of an SME, of a corporate in our region. And I see surrounding George Business a lots of integration partner available. I see a rather open marketplace for integrations. I envision George Business to be one of the best integrated platform around. Because my job is not telling the company out there, don't use that service, don't use that flow, don't use that. If you want to manage your finances in Excel, my job is to make sure that you can export out of George Business, build an Excel file, and you should enjoy making your calculation in Excel, right? Mm-hmm. My job is not to convince you to use something else. And I see a lots of integration within George Business with third-party business software, ERP systems, tools that help you to manage your finances. So company who have those tools, they should come forward because we are looking forward to build a good ecosystem of services.
Maurizio, thanks a lot for the interview and for the insights.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
So, das war die heutige Folge des Trending Topics Podcast. Wenn es euch gefallen hat, lasst uns doch 4-5 Sterne als Bewertung da und folgt dem Podcast auf Spotify, Apple Music und Co. Für Anregungen, Kritik, Feedback oder Wünsche zu zukünftigen Gästen schickt uns jederzeit gerne eine Mail an feedback@trendingtopics.at. Weitere News zu allen Inhalten gibt es natürlich tagesaktuell auf trendingtopics.eu. Danke an dieser Stelle an Geocast für die tolle Post-Production. Euch danke fürs Zuhören. Bis bald.